What's going on, everybody? Good afternoon. And I know the team just won the Super Bowl. The season's over. I understand that videos like this, I don't know how much interest there's going to be. Right now, things like snap counts are not really all that compelling to a lot of people. I get it. It's one of those things where snap counts are something you keep track of during the season so you can kind of get a feel for where things are going. And now we don't have to worry about that because we got many, many months until we play another game. But I think that videos like this, and I'm going to be doing the rest of the weekly videos for the rest of this week, I think, are good because they give you an idea of what you earned after a season where you did a very good job pacing your roster and giving them the opportunity to be available and ready to go and empty the clip in a game like this. So, Snap Count Monday. All right, guys, hold up because my friends at Sleeper are introducing some new features, and I want to tell you guys about them before we go any further. Sleeper is launching Team Picks, a new prediction market product. So now, on top of all the over-unders you can pick over on their Sleeper app, you can now pick on games. For instance, if you take a look to my left on the screen right now, you can see you can make a pick on the Super Bowl. They also have some bonuses available on over-unders for players. So there's now way more stuff you can get up to over on Sleeper. Get on over there before the Super Bowl, and don't forget to use the promo code SBN for a 100% match up to $100 on your first deposit. And don't forget to utilize the free $20 entry that you get just for making an account. So the Super Bowl is almost here. Make sure you get on Sleeper and have some fun with sports. All right, so first off, starting with the offense, 72 snaps, not quite a season high, but one of the highest totals they had all season, so that's good. Now, I think the defense deserves most of the credit for how many plays the offense got to run, especially earlier in that game. But the offense did do a good job, at the very least, picking up first downs, doing pretty well on third down, and at least getting field goals out of a lot of their drives. So 72 plays, definitely a good total, definitely a good sign. And sure enough, they did win that game, as we all know. Running back, we split actually pretty solidly. 47 snaps for Walker, which is a season high. I don't know if it's a career high. I didn't look, but season high for him, 47. And pacing him all season long like we did got us to the point where he could give us 47 effective snaps in a Super Bowl. So really cool stuff there. And George Holani, a guy who basically did not play for most of this season, who was hurt a lot and was not on the field for some games where he was healthy. He ended up giving us 24 snaps, and he was not a problem out there, right? You wouldn't call him a problem. I know he didn't bust any big plays or anything like that, but he did fine. He did his job for the most part. And overall, I don't feel like we lost a ton losing Charbonnet in this game. I'm sure we lost something because Charbonnet's a better player, but Holani did his job. And that's really all you can ask for in a spot like this. Wide receivers, you got JSN at 50 snaps, which, remember, he missed like close to a quarter because of the concussion check. And there was also something going on with his leg, I think. You can see that if not for that, he probably would have played about 60 snaps in this game, and it would have been close to his season high. So we were definitely going to empty the clip there. As we've talked about before, we have done a pretty good job not having JSN play every snap or even close to every snap this season. The regular season, he played 78% of the snaps. So JSN was going to empty the clip here. Unfortunately, he did get dinged up, but he finished the game, and he's a champion right now. What else are you going to say? Darn near 2,000 yards this season. So no complaints there. Sometimes you're just not going to have a huge game, and it's okay. Cooper Kupp, 56 snaps. So, I mean, the production was pretty good, but he gave us the reps, man. He gave us about as many reps as you could ask for a player like him, and he was effective with those reps. I know he didn't catch every ball thrown his way, but he was good out there, and we needed him in this one. We needed him to make the plays that he did make. Without him, I think this offense could have been in some trouble. Shaheed, 41 snaps, which is close to a season high for him as a Seahawk. Again, kind of sort of pacing him earlier this year. I know he didn't do a ton in this game, but I do think that his presence on the field is massive, even when he's not making catches. Um, 41 snaps of the Patriots having to think about him on the field, in my book, is a big deal. Jake Bobo, who broke his hand in the NFC Championship game, by the way, and we didn't know until right before kickoff of this game, 16 snaps, Derek Young, 4 snaps. So wide receiver stuff, pretty much what you would expect, pretty ordinary. Makes sense. Don't really have a lot to say about it. It would have been a little bit different if JSN didn't get hurt, but I don't think it really affected anything all that much. Maybe we would have done a little bit better on a couple of those drives in the third quarter if JSN was out there, because without him, our passing attack doesn't really operate all that well. Okay, tight end is going to be pretty darn simple. AJ Barner basically played the whole game, and that's something that he's done almost all year, it feels like. Even in a game like this, 72 snaps against a good defense, 65 snaps. For a guy who is not the best tight end in football or anything like that, one thing he has done this year is we put him out there and he stays out there. He can block, he can run routes, he can catch the ball, he can do it all. And I'm not saying he's as good as a guy like a Trey McBride. He's not as good as a healthy George Kittle, but his flexibility and his ability to stay on the field no matter what the play call is really great. Saubert played a little less than half the game, 32 snaps, so we didn't go super heavy with the tight ends in this game like we will sometimes do. It was still pretty significant, but we didn't spam tight end heavy sets constantly throughout the game. 32 is less than half, and Arroyo, kind of a footnote here, played about a quarter of the snaps. Did not get looked at once the whole game, I don't think, by Darnold, which isn't surprising. Maybe his presence on the field altered the way the Patriots had to look at playing defense against us a little bit, and I'm not discounting the fact that his speed added a dimension to this offense, but this season we didn't see too much of it. So next year, maybe. But I did like to see him out there running routes at the very least a little bit, because it does kind of indicate that there is a plan here. This was not the year where we got to implement it. Offensive line, also going to be really simple here. All the starters played all 72 snaps, and then we got 3 snaps in jumbo packages. And I think we had a couple of 7 offensive line sets with Josh Jones and Oluwatimi. So no real nuance here. I think Jones and Oluwatimi mostly played at the very end when we were running out the clock too, so there's not much to say about it. And no issues on the offensive line in this one, which is great. In a season where the offensive line mostly stayed very healthy, but we did have some moments at the end of the year where people had to be subbed in and out. They were readily available. Okay, jumping over to the defense now, 71 snaps defensively, which is quite a bit. Not the most we've had this year, but still a pretty good amount. And it does kind of speak to the fact that more than anything else, and I don't want to kick the Patriots while they're down necessarily, because that's not how I do things on this channel, but a lot of it was garbage time. I think we all know, watching that game, when the game was really competitive and close, New England could not sustain drives. Everything was like a 3 and out or slightly better than a 3 and out until it was 19-0 and the game felt pretty much over. But garbage time included, I mean, you can see how well balanced we were able to keep. Leonard Williams, our best defensive lineman, maybe our best defensive player overall, 50 snaps, which that's about in line with what he typically gets. And in a game like this, because we were in such good control and because we do have some good depth, we were able to keep him to 50 snaps. Didn't have to empty the tank and force him to play all 71 or anything like that. Byron Murphy, 46 snaps. A guy like him can definitely take that, and you can see that his lowered load of snaps in the last couple weeks may have helped him be able to stay out there and play really, really good. He was dominant out there. And Jaron Reed, 37 snaps. Jaron Reed was basically in line with what he was doing earlier in the season, somewhere between 30 to 40 snaps. And again, it's one of those things where I don't think he was our one of our best players, but he did fine. No complaints. So pacing him throughout the year allowed him to, at his age, still be effective in the Super Bowl. And then we saw 5 snaps from Riley Mills and 3 snaps from Mike Morris, so very little there. I think Morris was all in garbage time. Mills, though, I mean, he showed his better self in that game for sure. He had a highlight in that game that is going to be one of the most talked about highlights from that game. So exciting stuff to build on going into his second year, first year healthy, and he's got an opportunity to make a big impact in 2026. It depends on what happens with some of these veterans this offseason. Williams and Reed, some people have talked about them retiring this offseason. If that happens, then Riley Mills going to be a big part of this defense in 2026. Linebacker, interesting stuff here. Ernest Jones played the whole game, of course. That's not interesting. That's expected. Drake Thomas played less than half of the snaps, and I didn't see him get hurt. I don't think he got hurt. It was Tyrese Knight who actually got hurt. And as you can see, we didn't sub any other linebacker out there for Drake Thomas. I mean, I knew he wasn't out there a ton, but he was not even out there for half the snaps in this game. We were going to single linebacker sets constantly in this game, more so than typical. We were just spamming our defensive backs, and they still couldn't run the ball on us. They still had no success running the ball, and that goes to show how good this defensive line and Ernest Jones really is. But yeah, not a ton of action for Drake Thomas here. 32 snaps is below his typical expected, and I don't necessarily think Drake Thomas did anything egregiously wrong in this game. I don't think he got benched. I think we just wanted to go DB heavy, and it certainly worked until garbage time. And again, I don't really, I can't put that in real football terms, right? That's not real football at that point. Edge rusher rotation, pretty clean. We got leading the way was DeMarcus Lawrence with 46 snaps, so he was out there the most, but still not excessively, right? He was not out there for over 50 snaps. It was a reasonable number of snaps for a dude to play in the Super Bowl. Nwosu, 39 snaps. So his body held up. He was able to go out there and give it to us. Derek Hall, who was great, 35 snaps. And Boye Mafe, who's kind of become the forgotten man here, admittedly, 24 snaps. And he did do a couple things, man. I know that he's not what we were hoping he was going to be when we drafted him several years ago. And I know this year was a disappointment, but he did do some things out there that caught my attention. So Boye Mafe was still part of it, and they were able to keep clean in their rotation, man. Nobody got overworked. Nobody got tired. We're in the fourth quarter, and you got Uchenna Nwosu running back a pick six. I think DeMarcus Lawrence almost had a strip sack in the fourth quarter. Maybe it was the early third. I can't remember for sure, but there were no issues. Cornerback, Witherspoon played the whole game. Job played almost the whole game, 61 snaps. Woolen, 49. So right down to the very end here, we kept the rotation going. And in this game, we actually favored Job over Woolen, which I think would surprise a lot of people. Now, Woolen gave up the touchdown. That was like the one notable defensive low light that whole game. And some people were down on him for that. But it is interesting to note that they never, at any point this season, just decided, okay, Woolen, it's your show now. They stuck with Job, and I think Job played a pretty good game in the Super Bowl, so can't really object to it too much. And safety, very, very simple here. Julian Love and Kobe Bryant play every snap. Nick Eman plays every snap except for one. And, I mean, we got good plays from all the guys, right? Nick Eman it wasn't a flashy game, but he did come up with that tackle on Drake May on the second and long that prompted a punt. Kobe Bryant broke up that pass on the 2-point conversion and was generally clean in coverage, had a pass breakup. And Julian Love had the interception that more or less ended the game. So normal stuff there, not much to say. And that's your final snap count Monday of the season. So Super Bowl's in the rearview mirror. Now everybody has the whole offseason to rest. We'll see who we bring back. We'll see who decides to leave of their own volition. And just let it be known that this team did a great job pacing their players this year on both sides of the ball. You can see where some of the issues may lay. Like, I think the edge rusher room needs to be turned over a little bit. But even there, they were able to keep the guys fresh enough to have one of their best games of the year in the most important one. All right. See you guys later. Go Hawks. More stuff coming later today.